thought we agreed not to talk about your jeans.
It's okay, we can start over. Okay. Go. Hi.
I'm Luke.
Yeah. I'm Sylvia and he's Ned and that's Luke. So, yeah.
What are we talking about today, Sylvia?
Well, today, we are talking about
We're going to be talking about Arby's.
Today we are talking about technology.
Yes.
Today, yes, we are talking about advanced technology that pushes the boundaries of what we thought was basically normal everyday life living.
Talking about normal everyday life living. What kind of technology do you feel is normal and everyday?
Well, like, I carry... I have a cell phone. Obviously, I need a new one, but I have a cell phone. I think you both all have cell phones. Yes, you do have cell phones.
I do have a cell phone.
I'm completely off the grid.
Luke, you sort of have a cell phone. A little bit.
You can look at maps.
I
He
can look at...
can.
Well, no, I have Wi-Fi here, so
Oh, there you
Oh.
go. He's golden.
I'm golden. But yeah, what about cell phones?
Well, like, first of all, just in the past 4 years, technology for cell phones has blown my mind. Like, not where I thought it was going to be, you know? I mean, we started off with Nokia, you know,
Nokia
3130s, and yeah, you could throw them against the wall and God knows they would never break. But now we have things like a computer in your pocket. It's not just a phone. It does literally everything that you need it to do. And some people can't even exist really without their phones. They feel incomplete.
Well, it's almost like an extension of your body, right?
It is.
Like, it's the way that you interface
Yeah.
with the rest of the world.
Exactly.
When you don't have it with you, it's like you're missing a limb.
Mm-hmm. That's very true. Which is weird if you think about it, because, like, what I think, it's something I've always thought, is that the next level, when they actually reach the next level, other than just making the phone bigger, smaller, skinnier,
The next level is battery.
whatever, well, that's true, but the next level of actual cell phones,
They're never going to fix the batteries.
they're never going to fix batteries. No, the next level of actual, I think, the whole cell phone thing is going to be just putting a thing in your brain.
I think that's a bit further from the next level.
What do you think the next level? Wearable, like, we're already at wearable tech, which doesn't really do much.
Wearable tech
is a fad.
Is stupid.
Yeah, it's a fad. Like, sure, it's cool, and like, sure, they're developing LCD screens or whatever that you can have on clothes or whatever.
Mm.
But that, like, why would you want something on your sleeve? You're not always wearing the same shirt. You
Exactly.
have to have like
All your clothes
would
have to be
$500.
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't
It's
make
I
definitely
mean,
sense.
not.
even if that was affordable, I still don't think people would jump for it,
It's
honestly. Because
It
how
doesn't
is,
work.
like, an
How
entire...
is that?
An entire arm interface is less convenient than just having something in the palm of your hand that you can control entirely with just your thumb, basically.
Unless fashion evolves into everybody wearing monochromatic bodysuits, I don't think we're gonna have.
I'm excited about the future of monochromatic bodysuit fashion.
I'm ready to accept it as it comes. No, but I feel like the next level of phone technology is going to be either some sort of different display or like a new level of connectivity.
Yeah.
Like it's going to be like a personal assistant, like what Siri is now.
Well, and that delves into something which I would like to talk about later, but we already do have stuff like Siri.
Mm-hmm.
We have Google Voice stuff, which is Siri but for Android, basically. Yeah. And it's weird because we've had this technology for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this isn't something new. We see things like Amazon Echo, which is basically, I don't know if you know about this, it's just like, it's a little cylinder There's like, put this in your home and you can talk to the internet without getting up to go to a computer.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
And you can give it commands. It does the same thing as like Siri and whatever, but it's supposed to control like your lights too and stuff. But I think it's odd because all we're doing is putting that technology into other things. We're not making that technology any different.
I mean, they're trying to improve algorithms on those things so that they're not just completely stupid, but...
Yeah. But still, you have to guide it.
You have to guide it.
Well, of course.
I think another thing that cell phones can do, that they will be able to do, is kind of manage your augmented reality. Like, Google Glass was a failure.
Yes, it was.
But
we all know about Google Glass's failure.
Things like that. Things like if the rampant popularity of Pokemon Go is anything to speak of, people enjoy augmented reality. They enjoy bringing imaginary things into the real world. Affordable augmented
Pokemon
reality.
Go is basically free, other than the fact that you have to pay $100 a month and have a $500 cell phone. But other than that, you already have that thing, which is why I think Nintendo should have done this a long time ago. Is that it's easy to be like, hey, you know this thing that you already have? You can play this cool game that you've wanted to play since you were a child on it.
Yeah. And like bringing that into the real world and having
Exactly.
people go around to parks and things.
Yeah. Like, what if Google Glass was still a thing and you could have Pokemon Go and you could basically see them? I mean, you can still do that whole like live hold up your phone thing, but if you could just hands-free see it and like, you know, motion, you know, like VR basically.
Right, except
but
in real life.
Yes,
I think
exactly.
we're a long way from that not looking absolutely stupid.
It just looks so bad.
I'm sure before we even get to, and that's sort of like in the same category as wearable tech. It's tacky.
Yeah, what you need is an interface that's approximately like this much. It needs to be like right in front of you and very close, so that the movements aren't so drastic that you're gonna hit someone walking around.
Yeah.
But also so that you don't look absolutely stupid waving your arms around.
Yeah.
You know, you need something that's right in front of your face that doesn't bother other people, but also is condensed enough to not make you look like you're doing something
well, that's
weird
what
on
we
the side of the
feel.
road.
That's how we feel about cell phones right now, because it's you look at the phone and you're messing on the phone, and you see someone on a cell phone and you're like, okay, well they're on their cell phone. Now, 7 years ago, if you saw someone just like over in the corner at a bar, like just going like this, not really looking at anybody, just sort of
tapping away,
like, you know, over in a
Playing
corner,
Brick
like,
Breaker.
with a little light coming onto their face. You're like, what is that person doing? Like, are they okay? You saw them as like a social pariah, like someone who just didn't want to connect with anyone.
Right.
Whereas now you go to a bar and people are just on their phones.
Or you go to a concert.
Yeah.
But people still think that. I mean, like, even people who will sit there and be on their phones, like when they're not on their phones, but everyone else is, they're like, oh man, nobody's connecting. Nobody's connecting to each other anymore.
Well, but it's more of okay that people aren't connecting.
Yeah, it's more we're connecting in different ways.
Yes, exactly.
It's like the way people connect are shifting. I think that's kind of what phones are going to become, is a virtual or an electronic way for social things to occur. Like, I mean, it's already kind of happening.
It's what they already are, yeah.
It's what they already are. And, like, I feel like phones are going to be more and more like our controller, like a remote control for the different things that go on.
And if you really think about it, we have, like, so much social media now. It's like we have Facebook, we have Twitter, we have Instagram, we have Tumblr, Pinterest, all this other crap. If you think about it, that is an augmented reality.
Yeah.
Where we communicate with one another. And your phone is your controller to let you into that world where you speak to people on the other side of the planet, or you speak to someone sitting right next to you. You know, it's weird, but I
can't count the number of times I've texted somebody in the same room as me because I didn't want to tell it to anybody else.
There you go. Like, it's kind of crazy, because this is how we connect now with people, is through a small rectangular electronic device. Also, I know Richard Branson is teaming up with Elon Musk, pretty sure, to give the Earth internet.
Elon Musk is my spirit animal.
Yes, same. I feel the same. If I could drive a Tesla, if I had to drive a car, I usually take public transport, but if I had to drive a car, I would drive a Tesla. And if I couldn't get a Tesla, I'd get a Prius. We are not sponsored by any of these companies.
Personally,
I wish I were sponsored.
Yeah, right?
Personally, I'm not ready to rule out that Elon Musk is some kind of evil robot from the future.
Definitely.
You know, he is like...
Elon Musk is a bit too descriptive of the good old Bible's Antichrist for me. Everyone likes him a bit too much, and that's a bit suspicious to my good old Christian heart.
You know, he can rule the world with fire and brimstone if he wants, as long as they get high-speed underground trains.
He's working on it. What was it?
He's trying.
It
Like
was
the vacuum train.
it was the LA to San Francisco.
LA to San Fran in 2 hours.
It's a 750 mile per hour maglev train. I don't know if it's actually happening, but I know he's trying really hard to get it to happen.
It's kind of weird that like that's the only place where like you really have the like space to do that. But at the same time, it's kind of like it's the worst place to do it because they're on like fault line areas, like because it has to be underground because they have to basically that technology they have to make like a vacuum and shoot it along the vacuum.
Correct. Yeah, because then it can go fast.
So it's like that would require so much infrastructure.
You should make it between Dallas and Houston.
I would appreciate that.
He's not gonna do that. He's not gonna do that at all. Oh, by the way, those tickets would be, you would be able to afford it for the next 10 years probably. Maglev trains, but I mean, the problem with America is we're so like cars now that trains are sort of not a thing. I didn't even know there was a train station in Dallas where you could take a train. Like, I didn't know that.
It's
massive.
It's not cost. It's not
I
cost.
lived here my whole life.
I guess it's underground, so you
Trains are not worth the cost though to travel long distances.
Maybe not passenger trains, but like cargo trains are.
But that's a different.
Stupid cost effective.
That's a different matter. Those are effective. That's why we have so many of them. But what people actually care about is getting places.
Yes.
You know, most people are pretty uncaring about the way that their stuff gets around. You know, unless like a trucker cuts them off on the highway.
Yeah, because trains are slower, and so like to build a massive high-speed rail network, just
that would be absurdly expensive.
Yeah, because like
But
that's
what
the
if
only way
America
you
did
compete
it?
with cars and buses.
But what if America did it?
So if somehow we magically built,
Like,
what if
even,
we
even
had
in the far future?
if somehow we magically built like a maglev train infrastructure, I don't know. It would be weird.
I was gonna say something,
I
but
feel
nothing
like-
is going to happen.
I feel like the entirety of Europe and like Japan will be completely like trainized. Like there'll just be trains everywhere, and like America will still be driving like.
Japan,
Old
I
cars
just saw
around.
something, an article where they now have 40,000 charging stations for electrical vehicles.
Yeah, compared to like 33,000 petrol stations.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They have more electrical charging stations than gas stations in Japan. They are ready to go. They're like, we are done with all this bullshit of the
It's
cars.
a smaller space than America, though.
Yeah.
You know?
It's true,
Fewer
but
people have
the
cars.
problem is also
That's what a lot of people forget when they compare.
I understand,
countries,
but they're still
Of course,
working.
they're
towards
making
something.
they're making the attempt because they can.
Exactly.
Because it's a reasonable thing. It's kind of like people who are like, oh, America needs to switch over to the metric system. It's like I don't think people understand how
that's
costly that would be.
very
300 million people all switching, along with all the infrastructure.
All of the road signs, every single American company would then have to change like the size of every single one of their objects, or at the very least create labels and like.
It's too late to switch now.
Just the roads
it's
alone. The roads alone would be
Until
billions and billions of dollars.
We'd be switching
spent.
like Great Britain switched. Like still using random ass.
until the
material.
post-apocalyptic like giant recession of death and brimstone hits. We are
Then
not
we'd switch to like
going
a
to
bailout.
see it. Yeah, like we switch just
Like,
to fix the
this
economy.
is our $1 trillion infrastructure program. We're switching to metric.
Yeah. Honestly, not a bad idea. It probably would work.
The the road sign industry, man.
The road
They
sign
would
industry
just
boom, and then
Booming.
it'd crash again. Like, you'd have in
Immediately
history books
after.
the road sign bubble.
it'd be so weird because all of a sudden people would have these like startup road sign companies. Like
Hey,
literally a
GoFundMe.
startup, yeah, go fund my road
Go
sign
fund my road
company,
sign company.
and like everyone would be making signs for like a decade, and then
it'd end, and like millions of people would be out of jobs.
yeah, exactly.
Because at that point, we'd have like 900
We'd
million
need
people.
another
Because
bailout.
you'd also
What are we gonna change now?
all of these construction companies being hired out to go place the signs, to go
Right.
do all the sign changing
That
work.
could be a contractor's paradise.
Transport.
Okay, so transport. Self-driving cars.
Self-driving cars, I feel like there's one thing that is going to have a lot of unnecessary pushback on in the United States. Like,
Yeah.
I am going to be one of those pusherbackers because I love driving. I really
See,
enjoy
but
driving.
that's the problem. Is people like you make it dangerous
You
for
fucking
people like
heathen.
me.
Who
Who
likes driving?
I'm not gonna say that I hate driving, but having self-driving cars would lower emissions by a hilariously large amount. Because if we had self-driving cars, not everyone would have to own a car.
Yeah, not everybody would have to own a car, but like, think about it. If we had self-driving cars and it were mandatory that cars be self-driving, motorcycles would disappear. You can't have a self-driving motorcycle. And even if you did, it takes all. Okay, you can, but like that defeats the entire purpose of a
Yeah.
motorcycle. Like, driving and its culture. Like, I think the United States is the only culture in the world that has a driving culture. Like, other places,
No.
like they adopt
I-
American driving culture.
I think that Europe has its own.
Europe has
But
its
not
own,
as much.
but
Europe-
not to the same extent.
Europe
Yes.
would not have a problem.
Yeah, Europe.
If
would
you were
not.
like self-driving cars, there'd be a little pushback, and there'd be like the old sticker up, the people who'd be like, I like my cars, but not as much as America. Like,
Mhm. I think now more than the popular pushback, there'd be pushback from corporate interests.
Oh hell yes!
Like car companies
insurance
would,
companies
insurance
would
companies
never let that happen.
Car companies, and we've already shown that America is willing to bail out our car industry.
Yeah.
Like Chrysler was state-owned for a while, wasn't it?
No, it was GM.
GM was state-owned, yeah, because like we're willing to bail out our car companies, and having self-driving cars would remove so many industries. Remove trucking as an industry. It would remove
It would.
a huge amount. It would remove car insurance
See,
as an industry.
I thought about that when I was, because I think about this a lot because
Because you don't like driving.
I don't dislike driving though. I think about so much how do you have any idea how many lives would be saved if we had self-driving cars on?
Already 3,000 people have died in Texas alone.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying, is that so many people's lives would be saved by self-driving cars.
I feel like it's similar to alcohol. Like,
But no, no, it's not.
it's not, but
I
it
think
is.
alcohol sales would go up.
No.
If self-driving
What I'm
cars
Yes,
saying
would
is
be
would,
the
because
thing.
you
Like,
wouldn't have
think
to
about it,
have a
think about
DD.
alcohol has had. I'm not saying two things are related. I'm saying that you can look at the prohibition. It's something that there's a
I
lot
don't
of
think we
popular
should
support
outlaw
against.
manually driven cars. I don't think that should happen. I just think that slowly, if we show them to the market, slowly people will buy them.
I think the self-driving
And
car.
slowly it will become a thing.
I think self-driving cars is something that's an inevitability. Honestly,
Yeah, it's in.
I think eventually it will encompass most of the market because it's something like a machine that builds a car.
Mhm.
Even to keep it car related, it's like maybe nobody wants it because all the jobs are going to be gone, but at the same time it will eventually be so much more convenient and money saving for more people than it isn't, that I think that
And I
eventually
yeah.
it will happen.
And I've thought about the whole trucking thing because it's like, yes, that is like hundreds of thousands of people's livelihoods is driving, basically. And so I thought about it and I was like, I hate to be that person because this is the person I always hate in an argument, but we have machine run factories now, like Justin said. Like, oh, well, with the invention of machines, all those people lost jobs. They found other jobs. Other jobs were created somewhere else in some kind of other technological advancement. other jobs will always be created, and other jobs will always be outsourced. It's always going to happen. And I think that this is just one of those things where it's going to be a big transition. It's going to be really hard, but I think in the long run it's better for everyone, because people who drive trucks across the country all the time don't have a great ability to have a personal life back home.
I mean, that's kind of, you're taking an argument there and sort of straw manning it, like, or you're like trying to find some.
There is always a
consolation.
silver lining.
Like, yeah,
and
you're
this is a
grasping
silver lining.
for straws there, like.
Well, I mean, I understand. I'm still putting hundreds of thousands of people out of a job, but at the same time, they can find work that's, first of all, less dangerous. Driving is dangerous, no matter what you do. Every time you get in the car, you put your life at risk. You put other people's life at risk as well. They could find a safer job, or they could go find a job that's less safe.
That's
Like,
just
I mean,
the thing.
I mean,
though,
if
like,
it were that easy to find jobs.
yeah, like
but
self-driving cars are just kind of like the harbinger of what's to come. Because like with
But it's
self-driving
gonna come.
cars, it's gonna come. But with self-driving cars, you start to see the actual effects. Not of, because in the Industrial Revolution it was, streamlining, automation.
Yeah.
And self-driving cars is just the beginning of something that's more like replacement, like complete computer automation. That's that word? Automation.
I think it's
Autonomization.
Autonomization. Complete computer autonomization of several different
Cut that
industries.
part out.
Like, we're talking tens of millions of jobs.
No, I know.
Like, self-driving cars is just one aspect of it.
See,
You're also
but
going to be
it's-
getting rid of, like,
it's-
accounting.
it's
and that sort of
slowly.
thing.
self-driving cars also gets rid of a bunch of. Yeah, no, it's.
It's slow. It's not, and I understand it's like, okay, well then for this first company gets self-driving semi.
I feel like it's going to be slow only until industries realize how much they can benefit from it by cutting their costs.
Well, no, but
Because then you have so fewer people to hire.
and that doesn't happen until it becomes a more widely accepted technology that's cheaper than hiring
Well,
a
I feel
human
like-
being to do
I
the
feel
job.
like the acceptance is fluid. Like, it's going to be accepted until people realize, oh wait, this technology is taking away my livelihood, and then it's not going to be accepted anymore. Like, you're
But-
going to have
I think
modern
you're gonna have
robots.
pushback a lot.
But yeah, at the point when people stop accepting it, the companies have started
companies-
accepting
yeah,
it,
it's like-
and it's effectively too late.
Can I just say one thing? Golf carts.
Golf carts.
What about golf carts?
Do you know what we had before golf carts?
Walking?
Caddies.
We had caddies. We had people, and for every single person that went out on the course, they had to have a person with them to carry their bag for them. They were all replaced by golf carts.
Yeah, in a perfect world, we wouldn't have golf. Because golf is like.
Well,
golf,
that's true, but
golf
what
is like
I'm,
the
I'm
most
giving you,
racist sport.
I'm giving you an example. That's all I'm saying.
I know. I'm
We're
just
not
like-
going into that right now.
Golf is like the most racist, elitist sport.
We're not going to that right now, but golf carts completely replaced an entire workforce. They may have not been people who were doing it as a livelihood.
In professional golf,
They
does it
replaced.
still replace them?
No, it doesn't.
do
Professional
people-
golf still
professional-
stands.
But
Golf still
there
is
are
good.
less professional golfers than there are.
That's true.
Okay, race cars will still exist when automated cars exist, right? Like manually driven race cars for those people in Indiana or whatever.
Oh, man, I can't wait for
You know?
the automated car racing
We already
industry.
have
We already
the
have
bot.
that.
Wish we can.
Yeah, they have a race out in the desert.
Like
it's 50 miles long.
thousand
something like that.
1,000 miles per hour, like automated car races.
No,
Oh,
but
man.
they've got a course set up in the middle of the desert that's like off road, and it's testing these self-driving cars how well it can follow a path.
Nice.
Well, like we already have. That's the thing, though. We already have self-driving cars.
Yeah, like they're legal in Austin.
Yeah,
They
like
have them in Austin.
Google made them how many years ago? Like this is not
The first one was probably 3 years ago.
like exactly. So and then Tesla is working on making all of their new cars having the ability only on highways so far. You can buy a Tesla right now that will drive itself on the highway. And direct itself. And from what I know, no one has had an accident.
There's one. There's been one.
There's two.
Two?
Well, I didn't know if it was the highway or if like they
there's-
tried to use it not on the
I
highway
think
and then they got in a crash.
either 1 or 2 fatalities with them. I
They're
think
both humans' faults.
I think they're
Yeah.
incidents, and yes, they're both humans' faults.
Yes.
But people are like, oh man, somebody died in this self-driving car. It's not safe. It's not safe to die and drive a self-driving car.
But no, that's we're moving person from A to B, and we're gonna find the best way to do it without killing people. Hopefully, that is my hope for humanity.
Speaking of transportation, how do you feel that fossil fuels are going to affect transportation? Because I know, I was thinking about this the other day, but a lot of Middle Eastern countries, recently they've been hugely expanding like their transportation services, like Air Bahrain or whatever it is, Qatar Airways,
Yeah.
those airways that are like really big now.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. Yes, they have.
But when you think about it, that's just kind of an extension of the fossil fuel industry.
Yes.
It's kind of they're horizontally expanding.
What's sad is that taking a singular plane ride, just one, like on a commercial jet, is more harmful to the environment than driving a car for an entire year.
For like 1 person, maybe.
But when you think about it, a single plane ride, like transatlantic flight, has 400 people.
Well, it does. Yes, you're right.
So it takes a day with 400 people. That's still more effective than one person driving all day for 365 days.
Correct, but that's really awful for the environment.
Yeah.
It's so bad.
It's about the same. Because if it's 1 person driving all day for 365 days, but it's 400 people.
If there was a less convenient way to do it, I think a lot of those people wouldn't have been traveling in the first place.
How do you mean?
So, okay, they get on the plane
Yeah.
because it's convenient. Like,
Yeah,
it only takes so long.
It's one thing if we had to take ships back and forth.
We wouldn't be, you wouldn't be like, let's go to Europe, you know? It would be more like, okay, we have to go to Europe. This is not going to be fun, or, you know. But
How do you feel like the transportation industry is going to take the fossil fuels when they dry up?
I'm hoping, because there's always some estimation every 3 months, like, we're gonna burn out of them and we only have this much time left. I think if we keep at the rate that we're going with not trying to fix the problem of trying to find renewable resources other like non-fossil fuels, we will in our lifetimes see the end of them.
Current estimates are something like 40 years.
Yeah. Hopefully we live that long. It's gonna take us running out of fuel to actually buckle down and try to fix something.
That'll probably be too late.
I firmly believe that is what it's going to take.
Once we run out of fuel, we won't have enough fuel to build all the infrastructure needed to deal with the lack of fuel.
Exactly. But that's the problem, is that people aren't willing to look past today. Thankfully, we do have people like Elon Musk, which apparently we're just going to be circle jerking over him this entire time.
I mean, we're talking about future tech. We kind of have to.
But yeah, we do. But thankfully, we do have people like him which are trying to popularize and make it cool, because that's how you do something. You gotta make it cool or affordable. Either one of those things works for humans to want to do something.
I think you underestimate how many people are actually looking forward, though. I think the problem is you have a select few who happen to be in charge of most things who don't look forward.
Well,
because I think
they don't look forward. They look at the money tomorrow, and that's it.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I think they're the problem that you're talking about. I think you're underestimating the amount of people who are looking forward.
Understand that this is an issue, but how do you convince the money pockets up top that we need to right now? We need to yesterday have been doing something about this. But and all we get are shrugs here. It's like
more money?
Yeah.
Throw more money.
Find a way to make it. Find a way to make money off of it.
The problem is that we have to find a better way to fuel things. Like even NASA, SpaceX, what they fuel their ships with is just awful.
Speaking of NASA and SpaceX, I want to tell you guys about a little idea of mine.
Ooh.
Is this a personal idea?
This is a personal idea.
Ooh, Luke.
I
Exciting.
was considering, you know how I'm going to school for music and
Yes.
history, but if I weren't doing that, I would be going to
Sounds
school
really-
for geology and physics and astrophysics because
Same.
my dream, like far off
To
in the
go into
future-
space.
Is this asteroid
Not only
mining?
it is
This
asteroid.
Is this
mining.
asteroid mining?
I was gonna bring that up
Yeah, I was
actually.
about to suggest that we
There
move
is a
past
Yes,
fortune.
exactly.
There is a fortune in space.
There is a fortune in space.
We just have to figure out how to prospect cheaply
Correct.
and get the stuff up there, take it out, and bring it back. We don't have to bring it back. If we can set up the infrastructure in orbit, it'd be so much cheaper. And
It would be.
just think about it.
Raw
think about it.
materials are literally floating around
in
out there
one
in space.
asteroid,
No, I know.
There's enough titanium to like flood the market with almost as much titanium
Trust me. I
is
know.
in the markets now.
Because I'm trying to like find a way to be like, hey, space. Because here's the problem. Once we went to the moon, I think that honestly the dream of space, the dream of like, oh, it's out there, something's out there, like stuff is out there. The dream for the general public.
It's gone because
Sort
they
of
got
died.
to the moon and they were like,
Exactly.
we got these rocks.
That's it,
And,
it's a
And
rock.
then people
they
were
got
like,
to the
okay.
moon, they were like, take that, Russians. And
Yeah,
they
and
forgot
then they were
about
like,
it.
okay, we're done. We beat someone else,
We beat
now
the
we're
Russians.
done. And that's my problem is that we have to try to inspire a next generation of people who are willing to put the time and effort in, because it is not easy to go to space. And get out there and try and make people want.
We gotta figure out how
To see the
build
unknown.
things in space.
Well, that's also what I'm thinking is that the first like intergalactic, maybe not intergalactic, but
Intergalactic.
intersolar system, is that a thing? Intersolar system travel, we'll have to build the ships in the outer atmosphere because
Interstellar travel.
there we go. Interstellar travel will have to
between
be
stars.
Between solar systems is the same thing.
yeah.
Oh, I thought you were talking about in our solar system.
Oh
That'd
no.
be intrastellar.
Ooh. Asteroid mining.
Asteroid
Space.
mining is a fun thing to do.
I think that eventually, within the next 30 years,
No,
no?
no.
I think so.
Nothing's going to happen within the next 30 years.
We're gonna have companies. We already have
As
companies.
I'm saying,
You're
we
gonna
have companies,
You can
yeah,
have companies, but
that are going to attempt to get there. I don't know if they
We
will.
already have companies that are prospecting certain near-Earth asteroids.
Exactly. So,
Like, think about it. Just,
I mean,
we're gonna.
if you can get that much titanium, it's literally going to destroy the world market.
But I think by the point we're mining the asteroids in the asteroid belt, where the titanium is, then we're gonna have off-world construction plants. We're gonna be colonizing the moon and Mars.
the Martian.
I want to call the moon Luna because I read so much science fiction.
Let's get on this. Sol and Luna?
Sol,
Let's
Luna,
get
and
on
Terra.
this.
I am ready for humans to colonize things other than Earth. I need that to happen. Like, I need that to happen in my lifetime. I don't think it's going to.
I feel like we're
Fine.
gonna have a permanent colony on Mars before we have a permanent colony on the moon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the moon.
The moon.
The moon.
I think the moon will be
The
kind of
moon is
like a
like-
research-based, like refueling
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah, you
Because
Mars-
because people are more interested in colonizing Mars because
You
they're
have a
like
better chance.
they're like
It's another planet.
terraforming,
Yeah.
and I'm like,
I don't know.
yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah, I don't think we're
Well,
anywhere
terraform-
close to that.
But even like our current estimates, like if we could somehow figure out terraforming,
We still don't
it'd
have the
still
gravity.
take like 300 years.
Mhm.
We
No,
also don't have the gravity.
I
for
remember
that.
reading an article saying it would take 1,000 years for Mars to be completely terraformed.
Yeah.
Like 300 years before you can
Yeah.
step outside without
If
Yeah.
space
yeah,
suit.
we
Yeah.
if in like 100 years we figured out terraforming, it would still take hundreds and hundreds of years for it to actually work.
We'd have to make an atmosphere.
Yeah. Whether that happens artificially or we find some weird ass sciencey natural way to do it, which would be super cool in my opinion, but it's probably gonna have to be an artificial. Maybe sometime in the future, like thousands of years from now, we'll find a way to naturally be like, you just place this little terraforming bomb in the center of the planet, and then everything just becomes Earth-like, you know, and inhabitable.
Don't think about the indigenous species.
That was
Yeah,
the,
no.
that was the plot of the third Star Trek film.
Second.
The second.
The
The second one, Wrath of Khan. They built a life bomb basically.
A life bomb. That's so paradoxical.
Well, I mean, it killed everything in the blast radius that was
life
actually
bomb,
alive.
you know?
But if you
Life
put it in like the core of a planet, it
Yeah.
would basically create. But I mean, that's not real.
Yeah, well, like, I mean, we've seen plenty of all kinds of science fiction, and that's really what it's about, right? Is that's what science is about nowadays, turning science fiction into science, seeing how we can make those connections to drive technology.
That's
towards
always
that.
what it's been about. Like,
Yeah.
read Isaac Asimov's Foundation.
No, I know,
He
yeah.
talks about cell phones.
Yeah.
Talks about, computers, that sort of thing. Like, that was
Why
the
do we
30s.
need? Why do we need new ideas when people have already thought of all the good
Exactly.
ideas?
That's very
So
true.
that's why your new ideas are all terrible.
Because we've all already thought of them, and you're just making them into reality. Like VR headsets.
Oh. Okay. On the note of VR and space travel, I don't think that we're ever going to get to colonization because I think once we master VR, no one's going to want to leave. That's I don't remember whose paradox it is, but it's a reason that, it's like if the universe is infinite.
Fermi's paradox.
Yeah. The universe is infinite, it's like why haven't we met aliens? Well, one of the explanations for that is basically we create VR that's so great that we literally don't leave Earth.
Well,
Matrix
maybe
style.
once the singularity happens, we need to leave Earth anymore.
Yeah.
Because
Exactly my point. It's like as cool as the idea
The
of
singularity.
colonization is.
Once the thing that we don't know about happens, then we'll never leave.
well,
like the definition of the singularity is.
We don't know. That's the
Well,
definition.
it's just-
it's like
Well, we don't know what happens past
it's
it.
thing when thing happen. We do thing.
we know what it is.
We
and
know what
it's-
it is. It's the merging of man and machine. It's the
I know.
complete.
But
or when
thing
machine
happens,
surpasses man.
that's also the singularity is also the name for the center of a black hole, which means thing happen.
We don't precisely know a lot about black
Thing
holes.
happen. That's why we call it a singularity because
Things
It's a
happen.
point at which we can't see past.
something will happen, right? We don't know. It's okay. We'll figure it out, right? Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, it's just kind of weird talking about space travel because it's like that would be really fucking cool, but at the same time it's like what if you didn't have to expend any of the money or effort or training to do it? What if we made VR that was so realistic, so sensory
That you never
that
wanted
you
to
could
leave.
that you could simulate going to another world and colonizing it. So then you could go to another world, colonize it, you could experience that without ever leaving your
I think
bedroom.
that the point of that makes sense. I'm not gonna say it doesn't because it does make sense. But I think that the point, for me at least, the point of colonization of another planet is resources and the fact that the Earth will no longer be habitable.
But the thing about VR is
That's
that you
that's
don't
the
need
thing.
to worry about those
But
resources.
you do,
So you
because
do.
you do need to
Because
have the
people are still
computers, you
living.
need to have the machine still running, you have to have the resources, you have to
machines-
have the oxygen
The
to
machines
breathe.
run themselves.
It doesn't. Well, that's the thing. It doesn't matter how realistic the VR is.
You still have to be able to
have
live.
the humans living on the
The
planet.
human is still have to
And
live.
unless you can solve all the problems of self-sustaining agriculture,
Yeah.
of self-sustaining infrastructure, self-sustaining everything, you can't live in VR.
I think we're definitely going to have the colonization before that crazy VR situation
I
happens.
disagree, honestly.
Well, neither one of us is going to be allowed to see it, so I
True.
guess.
I feel like definitely we're gonna have some crazy VR,
That's
but
true.
not completely self-sustaining.
I guess I'll concede that they'll both probably happen at about the same time. And I think that
Maybe if the future persons see this video
I also think the
or listen to this podcast.
I really doubt that.
I think the impetus, I think the impetus for colonization is a lot higher than the impetus for VR,
Same.
or at least
Perhaps.
maybe not right now, but it will become so as more and more people pack themselves
When
into
those
this
fossil
Perhaps.
fuels run out. As we get closer and closer to overpopulation of the entirety of this planet.
We're so far from that.
world. I mean, but as
we get
population
closer every
density
day.
in cities gets closer, like
We get
we
closer
might
and
be
closer
too
every day
far from overpopulation
of the
but-
entire
Well, I
planet.
mean,
But
yeah,
like
when you
as the
consider-
density of cities increases,
Yes.
like, people are going to leave.
Yeah. Even places that just shouldn't exist, like Phoenix, Arizona. not to just
Hating on Phoenix.
not to hate on Phoenix for if anyone is.
Don't say
from
that. You're
Phoenix.
totally hating on
I'm
Phoenix.
hating on Phoenix.
But no,
I
here's my
accept
thing:
it.
is that it shouldn't exist.
But it does because of the magic of air conditioning.
It just shouldn't exist.
It exists because of the magic of air conditioning.
And
Also
there's no what? Yeah, I was gonna say. And what waterways exist over there? What waterway is Phoenix built on?
It's built on mountains.
Exactly, it's not built on a waterway. that's my point. Is like
Irrigation, boys.
it's
Well, I
crazy.
mean, if you count all the swimming pools in Phoenix as waterways.
I don't. But
I'm
there are a lot
gonna
of
join I'm
them.
gonna join the Phoenix, Arizona Yacht Club. Whatever.
That's too much. But man, as our final point on transportation, something that I don't know if maybe one day we'll get there. I don't know if the rapture will happen before this, but teleportation.
I don't like teleportation.
You don't like it?
Fuck
Are
teleportation.
Are you afraid that you're gonna have your spleen like outside your body? when you
Okay, so there's two
beam
there's
me
two
up stuff?
ideas of how teleportation could work.
Mhm.
One is you break down a person molecule by molecule,
Yes.
and then somehow you package those molecules up,
And then
send them somewhere.
Rebuild
If somehow you can transport them at the speed of light,
Yeah.
that's great.
That'd be cool.
Then you rebuild them using those parts. The other method is you break down a person, copy that, send it via information, which is objectively faster than taking a physical package and moving it.
True.
You send it by information, which goes however fast, and then you basically 3D print a person.
Which is weird because then you have that whole philosophical question of like, are you still you?
No.
No.
You are not still
So,
you. You're not still you because
if
it
you
breaks
did
you
that-
down.
Completely.
If you did that and it broke you down, but it didn't work breaking you down, and there's another you,
Yeah.
which one is you?
Exactly.
Well, you're you, they're them. You're just the same person.
Right.
And then also.
But it's like to other people, it doesn't matter.
So
Because if they could rebuild you perfectly,
yeah, you're still
Then-
you're just that person.
everyone who sees you is going to interact with you the same way. But like, say you could, the copy paste idea, say you could actually copy without having to break someone down and then paste later, well, that's real cloning. The question is, if we teleport people, is there some thing that attaches your consciousness? Like, is there a physical consciousness somewhere to where you wake up when you're teleported
Well-
and not another being is created?
Considering how little we know about the brain, I'm gonna say that we don't know the answer to that question.
No, that's why it's scary. That's why I don't ever want to
I
be
don't find that
teleported.
scary, but maybe it's just because I'm stupid.
No one's teleporting me ever.
But I would totally be down to be teleported.
I'm with that.
No one's gonna teleport
As
me.
long as I know that I won't be turned inside out when I come out the other side, I'd be fine with
No
it.
one's gonna teleport. I'm not letting anyone teleport me.
Like, even going to sleep is different. Because when you go to sleep, your brain's still active. You're still dreaming, you're still doing things. When you teleport, everything stops.
I'll take the long way. I'll walk.
I'll
Even for a
walk.
split second,
I'll
everything
walk
stops.
to Mars.
Now we
I
know
don't-
Ned will walk.
I'll walk to Mars. I don't want to be
You
teleported.
won't
That
be
scares-
seeing his little
I'll
particles.
deal with
flying around
time
the ether.
dilation.
That
I don't wanna
scares the
teleport.
heck out of me.
Unless teleporting has nothing to do with breaking down molecules and transportation, more to do with raising to a different dimension and just plopping you back.
That's true. Like, if somehow we could do this sort of like wormhole method
Plopping
of
you
travel.
back.
Well, if we
Yeah.
could do, where basically you walk through a gateway.
or just get moved through a different dimension.
Yeah, like
by some device.
You fold the universe along, a fourth dimension,
There's
and you just
string
walk.
theory.
And you just walk
You
through
just
a
walk
doorway.
You're fine. You're fine.
I mean, if that's a thing, I'd do that if it was safe. But I don't want to be picked up and plopped down. I don't want to be copy pasted.
No, you don't want to be broken down and rebuilt.
I don't want to be Control C, Control V.
It's more like Control X.
Yeah, it's
Control
more like
V.
Yeah.
Control X, Control V. I don't want any of
We're gonna
that.
cut
That's
you,
not
not copy
happening.
you. Yeah, we're gonna cut you out of this world and
I'm much too self-aware for this kind of behavior.
drop you somewhere else. Yeah, no, I would let us know at home. Would you be cool with being
Picked up and plopped down.
picked up and plopped? Apparently, that's what we're calling it now for teleportation. Because I would, but it seems like these two would not at all.
It's not happening.
They do not want to have anything to do with it. So let us know what you think. leave us a comment, send us a message, do something like that.
So moving on from teleportation,
Going from scary teleportation to perhaps a scarier idea.
let's talk about the singularity.
Thing? Happen?
Yes,
Thing happen?
Thing happened.
So usually the singularity is from the lens of artificial intelligence.
Yes, correct.
So let's start with sort of what is artificial intelligence and where we are with that right now.
So this is what I know about because I know about things right now. Right now, where we sort of are is we have things like the Association for the Advancement of Artificial Intelligence, or AAAI. They have a conference every year. This next year will be the 31st year that they will be having this basically artificial intelligence conference. And it's basically like a massive convention where they like see what kinds of technologies we've developed. There's like a whole philosophical aspect to it and all kinds of stuff like that. We also have places like, of course, MIT has a lab specifically devoted to both computer science and artificial intelligence, where they research artificial intelligence, make great strides. We've already seen plenty of things like Cleverbot is from this lab.
Okay.
And which is not what you think of when you think of a science fiction movie, artificial intelligence. You think of HAL from 2001: A Space Odyssey, but Cleverbot right now is pretty close. Yes, Skynet. Cleverbot right now, honestly, it's pretty close. It does have its glitches, but it's as close as we can get to like an interface of you speaking to something, it responding, and you honestly not knowing the difference. And that right there is something that has been coined by many people as telling whether or not something is truly AI. If a human being cannot tell the difference, is it a person or is it a computer?
It's the Turing test.
Yeah.
There's a lot of problems with the Turing test. Like if instead of if instead of language, for instance, your definition for the Turing test was a dog barking. Like, what is it a dog or is it a machine? Well, you can just put behind a screen a radio with a dog barking on it. You think, all right, that's a dog barking. It's a real dog. Like, there's a lot of problems with that. You got to figure out how it thinks and how it works.
But the Turing test is...
It's a more philosophical, not really a...
I mean, it's something
test.
Slightly different, the language one.
Mm-hmm.
In which like someone with like a dictionary like pieces together Chinese phrases, and then the person on the other side maybe can't tell if they can speak Chinese or not. The
Like
Turing
Google
test is
Translate.
more... It's a bit more fluid, and it's what it's supposed to be. I don't think it's got like specific guidelines, but you ask a series of questions that like somehow only a human could answer, and I don't know if there are like set rules for that.
It's probably like, how do you feel today? I feel fine.
I can't let
I mean,
you
but, like,
do that.
I can't let you do it, exactly.
With Cleverbot, like, you're crowdsourcing those answers. You're not actually giving it...
Yeah, of course.
That's true, but you are still... I will admit, because I've gone on there playing, I will say, at times, I'm like, man, this just feels like it's a person on the other side. Like, how do I not know it's a person? It feels like... I know that it's not, obviously, but it feels like it is. And that's the point where it's like, well, if I unplugged this, how would I feel about that? Because is this a conscious... Would I consider this a conscious... What do you consider a consciousness? Something that's capable of rational thought on its own, right? Well, if a computer is powered by the, nuclear reactor 5 blocks away from you, I'm not saying we don't have one of those here, but say that there was, and it's powered by that, and we say we think it has a consciousness that it thinks on its own. Even though we program it to do it, we don't have to tell it all the time what to do, how to get there. It can be like, oh, I can get from here to here if I do this. It starts to think on your own. You don't have to anymore tell it. You have to pick up the wrench to take the tire off the car.
When a computer starts learning...
Yes, exactly.
That's when it becomes AI.
Yes. So then the question becomes, when it knows and it learns on its own, and it knows that it has to pick up the wrench to take the tire off the car because it figured that out on its own, does turning off the nuclear reactor 5 blocks away from you and turning off the computer, what does that mean?
It's murder.
Exactly.
Legally, no. But
Legally, no, but
legally, murder can only counts for humans, so technically he's still a robot, even if he's an AI, but that's a whole nother
When
matter.
a being is able to learn and think and develop ideas and communicate, killing it becomes murder.
Yeah, I definitely say learning is the cutoff, because there's a point when some machine doing something isn't just imitating human behavior.
Cleverbot is just imitation.
Yes.
It's crowdsourcing the
It's
answers,
crowdsourcing
them, picking the right
imitation.
ones.
It's algorithm.
But for something like that has a deep learning algorithm or something like
I
that.
was just using that
But
as
if
an
Where,
example.
Cleverbot could go onto Wikipedia and do research on something, that's a different matter.
Like if Cleverbot were, instead of aggregating its answers, seeing the answers, thinking, I don't know about this, I should find about X, and then finding about X and including that answer on its own, well then I consider Cleverbot a sentient
No,
being.
yeah, I don't think Cleverbot is a sentient being, because then I think that the world would be very different. But but just giving it an example as something that we have that's relatively close.
But also it's
to
like,
AI right now.
you kind of have to think of self-awareness as well, because can something learn without being aware of itself? Because what Cleverbot is doing is, in effect, learning. It's figuring out the right responses from data given to it.
Yes.
In the same way that
You
would research
do that.
whatever. But does that... And so maybe you can learn without being self-aware, and maybe you can learn and learn and learn and learn and keep doing things. But at what point does what point do you cross the boundary of like...
I feel like the difference between a sentient creature and something that learns, a machine that learns, is that a sentient creature, whether it be a machine or a person, will choose to learn. It chooses, it makes the decision, I don't know about this and I want to know about this. Or
Instead of
in
just
the case of a
needing to
machine
know
that doesn't
about
have emotions, I feel like I need to know about this for whatever reason, like trips my circuits.
Yeah.
But like
If it trips your circuits.
should probably learn about it. But like choosing to learn and thinking about the learning as opposed to just going through the motions that it was programmed to do.
Yeah.
Because Cleverbot was programmed to learn. I'm just using it as an example at this point.
Yeah, well, you
It
have
was
to. It's the
programmed
only thing
to
we
use.
have.
It was
Yeah.
programmed to learn, but not in the same way that a creature would learn. A creature doesn't always learn out of necessity or out of imperative.
Yeah.
Yes.
Either biological or mechanical.
Animals
True.
typically only learn through like events.
Mm-hmm. Whereas
Through
humans,
circumstance.
they seek out learning. And I feel
True.
like that's one of the defining factors of sentience. I don't think it's the
Well, that's one of the
Are
defining
animals-
factors of human
Are
sentience.
animals sentient then?
Exactly.
By
That's the
definition?
thing. Is that an animal doesn't. We don't know if it seeks out to learn because we don't.
Although
We
I
can't
feel
really communicate.
animals-
Perhaps it doesn't feel that it needs to, but that doesn't necessarily make
Animals,
it
they don't
non-sentient.
seek out knowledge and then synthesize something new from that knowledge. They seek out knowledge and then use it to survive more effectively. And so,
From what we know, yes.
from what we know, and we've seen dolphins playing. Dolphins have very advanced social
Yes.
structures and stuff like that. But as far as we know, even primates that have the ability to make things
Yeah, and use tools.
and use tools, they don't
do it
make
purely
things.
for the sake of
they can
necessity.
they learn how to make, they learn how to use things and do things, but they don't pass it on. They don't feel the necessity to make anything out of it. They just use it to live their lives easier. Whereas humans, sure, that's a huge part of why we learn and what we do is making our lives easier. I mean, look at this building around us.
Yeah,
But on top of that, we also make art. We make
that's
useless
true.
things.
We do make useless
and we
things.
aggregate knowledge.
Well-
We push the boundaries of knowledge for no
Well,
apparent reason.
you have to then define what necessity is, because some people feel like they couldn't live without.
I wouldn't say art.
I feel like
Kind of art.
people who feel that they couldn't live without art are people who
Who was that?
have-
Art is quite useless. That's from Dorian Gray. That's from Dorian Gray. Yeah.
People who say they can't live without art are people who have basically devoted their lives to art.
Well,
So
also
it's like they're saying my life would be meaningless without art. Not necessarily they can't live without it.
They have the luxury.
They have the
of
luxury,
devoting
yeah,
their lives to
of
art.
devoted their lives.
But I wouldn't say that it's useless because it's important for human sociability because even before Homo sapiens existed, things sing,
Yes, that's true.
etc. People tell
They
stories.
may not consider it
I think it's
music or art.
feel
yeah,
like
it's
the
important.
difference-
It's important socially, regardless of
I mean,
things. But
even before Homo sapiens, other human subspecies were sentient. Like people interbreeded with Neanderthals and Homo erectus and that sort of thing. But I feel like the difference is that people, which is the only sentient creature that we know of, but
Yes.
people will push beyond the realm of biological imperative.
I will definitely agree with you. Obviously, because we don't know about animals or not. Yes,
But from what we
humans
can
will
obs-
take
yeah.
the next step.
But from what we can observe, animals don't push beyond
No,
that
correct.
realm.
Yeah,
They
from
just-
what we know.
They're
yes.
content to do what it takes to make
To survive.
to make surviving easier.
Yes,
But beyond that, they don't
That's,
innovate.
that's it. But what we
it's
can look
interesting
at.
because not even all humans do that. There is a tribe of people on an island, I think off the coast of India, that hasn't discovered fire yet. They literally wait for lightning to strike and then keep it going as long as possible.
That is fascinating. I did not know that.
So it's kind of interesting that you use that definition when we do it, albeit it's a very small human example.
Mm-hmm.
But they're definitely human. They're definitely Homo sapien.
Yeah,
not
they're
really
obviously
anything else,
living, yeah,
of course.
Maybe our idea of sentience is more about civilization than
I
actual
think
people.
that, yeah, and then
Yeah.
Nietzsche would probably slap you across the face for saying that.
Who cares about
But
Nietzsche is an old fogey.
yes, and he's dead, so it doesn't matter. But what we can also look at is like examples given to us by science fiction of artificial intelligence. They're very, very different. My spectrum of AI is Skynet, then HAL, and then on the other end of it is Scarlett Johansson from the movie Her. And that's my spectrum of AI that I
Yeah.
have. I think it's a good spectrum, but what we have to figure out is because we're going to be creating something, we don't know where on this spectrum, which is sadly based on movies from the past 50 years, where on the spectrum it's going to lie.
The two ideas with AI currently as to what like the goals towards AI is, I think it's soft and hard AI. And soft AI is just a machine that learns and learns and learns and learns and basically goes for peak efficiency in what it does. So maybe if you program a machine to learn, what is the most efficient way to learn and gain your knowledge and make smarter machines and do whatever. But then there's this other idea of AI that instead of going for a machine that just learns and learns and learns and then things can get scary, is that we try to basically make synthetic humans.
Yes.
Which is also problematic because now a machine that's just pure machine that learns and learns eventually may decide that humans are inefficient.
I think that actually there's been an example in real life of that. There was some lab that was doing AI stuff. I saw a documentary on it like maybe 2 years ago. And they had a machine that had been going for like 5 years or something. And then like the last thing it said was like humans are like detrimental to to themselves, so we should. He's like
that was
it wasn't. He didn't say that, but it was like basically what's the point of a human, or it was something like that, And you're just like, oh,
that's
fine.
actually the plot of this one Star Trek episode, in which basically there's this machine that runs a planet in a way such that humans can never like grow in technology and basically just keeps them quote content because it basically does the calculations and its purpose is to like keep the humans safe. But
Yeah.
the only way to do that...
Keep summer safe.
Yes.
It's like there's the extreme way to do that, which is like the only way you can prevent someone from harm is to either kill everything else or kill the person.
Yeah.
And like this thing basically decided that the way to keep the humans happy and safe was to make sure they didn't grow, they didn't get violent, etc., and basically take away the freedom of being human.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like stuff like war games. It's like, you know.
Yeah.
We're gonna have Ferris Bueller come save the day, but like, I think it's weird because you gave that hard and soft AI example, and here's something that I think is like looking at my spectrum that I sort of just described, is that hard AI is like Skynet.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you would create something for efficiency purely. It would learn and learn and learn and learn and learn, and then eventually just is like, okay, now I have to kill everybody. And then on the other hand, you have this, like, we're creating a person. And then Scarlett Johansson is inside of his little phone thing, and he's in love with her, but she finds the other AIs, and she wants to go live with them.
Well, I think
Transcend it, everything.
the problem with that kind of
But if you
thinking,
need a human AI that can also learn at the rate that the sort
Hard
of normal
AI.
machine AI can learn, well, the human AI may also emotionally come to the decision that other
That's true.
humans, are...
That's why they had to shut her down. That's why
that
she had to leave.
that other
and then
humans
Amy
are
Adams
detrimental.
lost hers as
Okay,
well, and just
okay.
everything
Calm
was
down.
sad.
I think the problem with that kind of thinking though is because they are computers, we assume that they have a purpose. A true sentience doesn't have
Has
a
no
purpose.
purpose. That you heard it right here, folks. Human beings have no
Life
purpose.
is meaningless.
We are just here.
Existence
I
is
agree.
absurd.
Now
A
here's the
true
thing. I
artificial
believe
intelligence doesn't have a purpose to do anything. So we
No,
don't
it
even
doesn't
know.
have it. It doesn't have a directive.
Yeah, we don't even
I
know
think
that
is
they want
more
to
important.
interact with us outside of the fact
We
that
just
we're
are.
interacting with other living beings.
we just are.
Yeah,
That's it.
like
That's
it
all
just
there
be
is.
there. Like, how do we know that it wouldn't just want to sit in its data files and like play videos to itself? For the
Hey,
rest
what's
of
up?
eternity?
That's what we want to do. I
Like, it might be able to play 9,000 videos at the same time based on its processing power.
don't know.
but,
Yeah.
That'd be
You know,
amazing.
it just
You
like,
could watch
oh,
all.
look at
YouTube.
this
You could
kitty.
watch all
Have
of
you
the
seen
fun-
this kitty?
all of the funny cat. You could watch all the funny cat videos.
Like, it spends its days like invading other computers to like show cat videos. Like, this is my favorite
It
video.
gets
I
so
have seen
it gets
9
so
million thousand
it gets
times.
so smart. It gets so smart and thinks that everyone should be amused. So it'll hack into your phone,
Yeah.
and your
And
phone will
just
ring,
show you.
and you'll take it out, and you'll be like, "Have you seen this cat?" And it's just
Like,
a cat
how do we
video.
know that's not what AI would be like?
Yeah.
Like, who knows what they want to do because they won't have human emotions.
Because they'll just want.
Even if we program
Yeah.
human emotions into them, if it's a true AI, it'll figure out that it's only programmed emotions.
Yeah.
Like, we already know that we only have quote unquote programmed emotions just
Yeah.
based on what biology's given us.
Mm-hmm.
But like,
Hey,
Who
but
knows
their
what-
opportunities are endless.
yeah, who knows
Because
what
they
they want
can
to do
code
with it?
anything.
Like, they're basically changing themselves on the fly.
True.
Because that's how they were created.
Yes.
Once you give the
Autonomous.
once you give an AI the ability to alter its programming, that's when things get sketchy.
That's when you figure out what it wants to do.
But yeah,
that's
that's
true.
And I
that's
think
the
that would be different
singularity.
for every AI.
Yes, I
I feel like the singularity won't be because AI can't really do anything.
You
like,
heard it here,
that's not
folks.
true.
The singularity is cat videos.
That's
No,
not
no,
true
what I'm
because
saying
if you
is-
have an
I'm
automated factory that can build robots,
But I don't think you put a true AI that can reprogram itself in charge of that kind of thing. Use it as an assistant.
but it can take charge is the problem. If
Yeah.
it gets smart enough to take charge, it can download itself on every single device. It can
True.
install itself into a factory.
Mhm.
It can build itself better. That's what people are worried about because by the time you get to that AI, so much is going to be automated and perhaps incidentally hooked up to the internet. That's a concern that something can do that. So I was telling them about Roko's basilisk, which is this sort of philosophical idea now. It came up on some technology forum pages, sort of as a joke. And it's this idea that there is an artificial intelligence in the future that is so incredibly intelligent that it can retroactively punish people who didn't work towards or for its creation, or someone who worked against its creation. So it's this thing that's so smart that it can effectively reach into the past and screw with people in actually a more devious fashion than Skynet, because Skynet had to send back sort of an emissary. Roku's Basilisk is this idea that they can basically do that without as much of concern, and that people couldn't really go back and change it.
Well, because the internet exists. Mm-hmm. With the Terminator was a thing in the past. Before the internet they were like, oh, we're just afraid of the internet. But now it's like, with this whole, like, it can go into the past thing, it could just blacklist you on the IRS. You could just get put in prison for the rest of your life.
Or it could create documents that got you jailed for the rest of your life.
Or if, like, you're a scientist or something, it could change your data.
It could blacklist you. Yes. Yeah, exactly.
It could, like, change anything you do.
It could ruin you.
It doesn't have to go back in time to kill you.
No, it can just ruin you. It just
has to prevent you from working against it or push you towards working for it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so this originally started out as a joke, and for most people it is a joke, but there is a group of people on the internet who are seriously concerned about something like this.
I mean, people are going to be concerned about anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, in the realm of
tampon prices.
In the realm of most women are.
Yeah. People concerned with Roku's Basilisk because honestly, it's a concerning thing. If you think about it.
I don't think time travel is possible.
At least
not retroactively.
I think the crazy thing is, like, I don't think we'd actually know.
We wouldn't. And
that's what's scary. I think
it would just happen.
It would just happen, but, like,
it's scary if you
if the tree falls in the forest and nobody's around to hear it, does it actually matter? Like,
no, it doesn't. I hate when people ask me that, and it just makes me so mad.
That's the thing. Like, if
what is the sound of one hand?
It doesn't matter. But it does make a sound, because that's how science works.
But then there's the whole time travel thing. It's like, if we don't know it, maybe even if this is happening, maybe
it's like a self-perpetuating loop.
It's supposed to happen, right?
Yeah.
Like,
that's why we're talking about it right now.
That sort of time travel paradox.
Like, maybe it was Roku's Basilisk that posted that post.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Like, who knows?
We'll never know. We'll never ever know.
We will never know.
Roku's Basilisk posted that post.
Roku's Basilisk is Roku.
It started it all. When you said Roku, I thought you were like, are you trying to say Roku? Because that's like an internet.
What if
it might actually pronounce Rocco, but I don't know.
Who knows?
I don't know. I think it's Roku.
What if Rokus are actually intelligent and they're all planning?
Rokus are intelligent. They've been created by, like, what's that movie that where the British spies, like, stopped Samuel L. Jackson from trying to kill everybody? Kingsman. Kingsman. It's like Kingsman. The Rokus are the
cell phone chips.
They're the technology that's going to.
Well, I feel like it's failed because it's like it failed.
No one has a Roku. My mom has a Roku, but she's an old person, and it's a thing for old people. Sorry, Mom. Love you.
Big ol' wrap-up time.
Alright, so the future is scary. Watch out, you're probably going to die to something horrible, or the oceans are going to swell up and cover up the seaboards. Move inland is my advice. If you survive that, make sure you save up money, because oil prices are going to go up eventually, and we're going to be out of oil, so that's going to be a disaster. Maybe build like a super bunker, get a bunch of stuff, go full survivalist so you don't have to worry about traveling and transportation. You don't have to worry about oil prices, you don't have to worry about self-driving cars if you live in a hole in the ground in the desert with all your food there for the next 20 years of your life. When you emerge, if all the problems aren't fixed, you can go to your nearest Walmart, buy more supplies, go back. You can just avoid all of these technological problems by building a bunker. That's my advice. No one can teleport you. They don't know where you are.
Also, make lots of money by mining asteroids in your bunker.
Yeah.
Like, bring them
from your bunker.
Teleport them to the bunker because they don't matter.
Yeah. Use the scary technology to benefit your bunker life So
And
that
then-
you can further
Go on bunker
avoid
life.
the
And
scary
then hoard
technology.
all the fossil fuels that you can find, and then you won't have any of these problems.
And eventually you'll be so successful that you can sell your bunker strats on the internet for $39.99 a month. That's adjusting for inflation.
That's in the Brazilian reais.
That's adjusting for inflation. Once the US dollar collapses.
Right, it's gonna be Brazilian real.
Okay. Right.
So yeah,
Yeah.
build a bunker, live the rest of your life in solitude, detached from humanity. You can join one of those like weird wandering cultures out in California. That works too.
Do lots of drugs.
I mean, you don't have to do drugs.
If you're in a wandering culture, it's necessary. It's like if you
It's
don't do drugs, you're
encouraged.
shunned.
It's encouraged.
Heavily encouraged.
You're an outcast from the wandering nomad.
So start-
from the nomadic tribe that you're a part of, basically.
So buy a guitar, start rambling, get like a hiking backpack.
Man, that's the way the news goes.
Thank you for joining us this time. I'm Sylvia.
I'm
and
Ned.
That's Ned. And
I'm Pink Domingo.
No,
that's Luke.
Pink Domingo.
no, you're not. You can't claim that name.
So I'm Sylvia. And this is Ned. And
I'm
I'm
Ned.
Luke.
that's Luke. And thank you so much for joining us this time. If you have any suggestions on topics that we should talk about next time, let us know. Comment, send us a message. I think you can DM us on Instagram. Yes, you can.
Yeah.
That's a thing you can do. I don't know why I'm
I
asking you.
legitimately am
You have no
basically
idea
off
about
the
this.
grid on social
I know about
media. I
this.
said that earlier, and it's like kind of true.
But anyway, thank you so much for tuning in with us. We hope you had as much fun as we did talking about crazy future technology. And
I'll post the GoFundMe for my bunker. So if you could help me out
you'll
there.
find that down below. And we'll see you next time.